It's time for The Story Behind the Person, featuring lively, in-depth conversation with compelling guests from our community. And here is our host, Jonathan Van Bilsen.
Hello and welcome to this episode. My guest today is Tony Janssen, an entrepreneur and the owner of PP Print and Digital Marketing. Tony will share his challenges and experiences as a small business owner, as well as his community involvement. We'll be right back after these messages.
Top care with top stylists. Book your next hair appointment with Port Perry's award-winning hair salon, Rosario Greco Styles. The hair experience you deserve. Book today. Call 905-985-0099.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, my guest today is Tony Janssen, an entrepreneur and the owner of PP Print and Digital Marketing. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John, for having me today.
So tell me a little bit about PP Print and Digital Marketing. What exactly do you folks do?
Well, we focus on promotional materials, signage, and commercial print. Our original thing was starting with commercial print, but now the world has changed in its form of communication, so we do a lot of other things that offer a wide variety of things for our customers to see us about.
Okay, and you've been in business for quite a while now, right? You're just celebrating your 40th year or something?
We're actually 48 years this year.
48, my gosh, time goes quickly.
Family-run business.
So let's take it back a bit to when you were young. You say it's a family business. You're in Port Perry, correct?
Correct.
And it was something that was started through a newspaper business that was owned by your uncle. Is that correct?
That's correct. The Uxbridge Times-Journal. We own 13 community newspapers across southern Durham and the Kawartha Lakes. And my father got into the industry with him and kind of went off on his own years later. Okay,
so when you said a community newspapers, is that what we now know as Metroland and so forth, those kind of places?
Yeah, correct. Uxbridge Times-Journal was one of his big ones, and there was several others, Lake Simcoe Advocate, there was a Fenimore Falls paper, and many others.
Oh, okay, all right. So your family moved from wherever you were to Uxbridge, I assume, to be...
Yeah, we moved from Scarborough to Uxbridge.
To Scarborough?
Yep.
Okay. How old were you when you moved?
I was about 2 years old when we moved from there, so it was fairly young.
So it was pretty seamless for you.
It was, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So were you raised in Uxbridge?
I was raised in Uxbridge on Bascom Street, just down the street from the original Uxbridge Times-Journal office.
Okay. Is that newspaper still going?
It is. It is. It's now owned by Metroland, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. So your dad was also working for the Port Perry Star. Was that part of that same group?
Well, that was owned by Per Bilsen, and but which he originally owned the Uxbridge Times-Journal for a number of years.
Per Bilsen
and my uncle Per Bilsen did. He bought it off of my uncle bought it off of him, sorry. And anyways, he continued to grow things, and Per ran the Port Perry Star, which later in 1974, my father went in and talked to him about the commercial end printing off of him, and that was the one division that Per had. He had the stationery business, which we probably all remember on Queen Street, and he also had the newspaper as well as the commercial print. So my dad bought the commercial print end off of him.
Okay, so commercial printing being stuff for commercials.
That's right, like letterheads, envelopes, posters. We used to do a lot of the old auction sale bills. We used to print a stamp collector's magazine. We have a wide variety of stuff that we used to do that is no more, of course, but back then it was customary. It was very big, and it was booklets, and matter of fact, we used to do cow auction booklets too.
What kind?
Cow auction booklets.
Cow auction booklets.
Yes, believe it or not, you won't see those anymore. But
I don't think I ever did.
No, you probably didn't. You probably didn't.
So was the printing done within the premises at that time?
Yes, it was.
So now I understand newspapers, most of them farm their printing out elsewhere.
Actually, at the time, it was actually printed on a Goss web that was in Uxbridge, and it was I remember it as a kid. It was a massive machine, and it was about 2 stories high, and it was about 150 feet long.
Really?
And when the newspaper came off, 32 pages were all printed, finished, complete, color on the front, and then black and white on the inside. So my father ran that whole press by himself.
Really?
Yeah.
So this you ink up the rollers and stuff, and the paper goes through, and it comes out the back end as newspaper.
Yeah, it all came out from a roll right to a printed newspaper.
Has that changed the way they're printing newspapers now? Or are they still doing that? Basically?
No, they're still doing it. There's a little more technology now. There's more electronics and
there's still paper and ink.
Yeah, still paper and ink, but there's more futuristic electronics in it that there's a lot less work running around.
So do large papers like say the Toronto Star or the Financial Post, do they still print like that as well?
They do. They do. Yeah, still today. Yeah.
Okay,
a lot of it's being printed unfortunately, out of Montreal and areas like that. So it's not done in Toronto anymore.
All right, but still within Canada.
Still within Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we still do it. Yeah.
Excellent. So you moved to Port Perry.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah. 1974, we moved to Port Perry, and I went to school at R.H. Cornish School.
Okay.
At grade 3.
Right.
I started school there and started life here in Port Perry. And my father built a house on Old Simcoe Road, and we then again just went on from there.
Okay. Now, just before we went on the air, you were telling me a story about your dad and mom both working in the business quite late at night sometimes, and you and your sister, I guess, and
I had 2 sisters.
2 sisters would sort of accompany them and do your homework and whatever, and kind of have a little nap in the shop.
Yeah. We used to sleep on skids of paper. We'd have a pillow and a comforter, and away we'd go until my dad was ready to leave at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. He was definitely a dedicated and a hard worker, that's for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Is that where you got your love for staying up late at night?
Yeah, I think so.
That's tough. I mean, it's difficult raising a family the best of times, but to do it under conditions where you're trying to start a business and keep a business going is very difficult too.
It was.
So your mother worked in the business as well.
She did. She did the secretarial work, and she answered the phone, took orders, that sort of thing. And any bindery work that had to be done, it was handwork or collating, she'd do it. And any way she could help my dad out to be successful.
So and you worked in there as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What did you do?
1984, I started there. Or sorry, a little bit sooner than that. I did some of the handwork, the hand collating and so forth, and I also ran a small letterpress, Heidelberg letterpress, and used to set some lead type on an old machine called a Leadlow.
Okay.
And I used to work along with another gentleman by the name of Bruce Beer, who was originally, he used to run a Linotype machine that set lead type. And quite fascinating machine. It was a big machine, and I kind of learned some of that stuff from him. And it was a good experience. I liked the mechanical and the hands experience.
Well, those days are gone. I have my father was in the printing business all his life, and so was my uncle. And I remember I was in the Netherlands when I was about 15 or 16, and I had this summer job to run this Heidelberg press, and it was for business cards. And I always remember you ink up this big thing, then you put the paper in, and then the press closes, and you take the paper out. But it was automatic, so if your timing was off, your hand was gone.
Your hand, yes.
And that's
the kind of pinched or crushed. Yes, exactly.
Shudder to thought, but no, I remember those days. So that's what you did. Going through school, did you have any other part-time jobs and stuff that you did?
No, actually, just worked for him. It was a family business, and there was enough there to keep us going.
I'm sure there would have been.
And it kind of helped my dad expand the business a little bit too.
Yeah, and he no doubt paid you very well.
Oh yes, extremely. I got the Dutch pay.
What do you mean by that? Just kidding. So,
well, you know what I mean by that.
So then after school, after high school, you decided to you wanted to get into architecture?
Yes, yeah. I took a year of architecture at Centennial College down in Scarborough, and it was a little bit of a hectic. I drove back and forth. Winter weather wasn't great, and after about a year, I kind of found it wasn't something I wanted to do for my lifetime, and I kind of missed, well, I shouldn't say totally missed the printing industry, because I was still working part-time and going to school, but I just kind of thought it was my calling to stick with it and take the family business over, because my 2 sisters were not interested.
They weren't
at all. No,
not at all. Okay,
not at all.
So you came back. Now, did you buy the business from your father, or did you work it together for a number of years? Or
well, I worked with him until I was about 25, and at that point, he was 51, 52. He was deciding that it was time for him to retire.
Oh, that's retirement age. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. These days.
Are you past that yourself? I'm kidding.
Yes, well past that. and I decided that maybe this was something I wanted to take. I had started a family, and I had 2 kids, and I decided that maybe it was something that I needed to do to get myself ahead.
Right.
And so anyways, that's where I decided to go, and I decided to take off from that point.
And you certainly knew the business.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It was an easy succession, other than I had to learn how to do estimating and stuff for my father. But
Right.
he stuck around for another 2 or 3 more years.
I was
after
going to say,
that.
I'm sure, I've met your dad, and I'm sure he's not the kind of person who's just going to boom, quit one
No.
day, and that's it. He's
He
going
did
to be
not.
involved.
He
and-
stuck around. Yeah, for a
and
little
wonder
bit.
why you're doing things the way you're doing them
Yeah,
when you should
well,
be doing them this way, right?
Family members sometimes can
Yeah.
knock heads, and we had a few of those moments.
Yeah.
But we still love each other and talk to each other.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm an only child, so I really don't have any recollection of that kind of thing at all. And you're in a fairly new building. Was that one that your dad actually built, or was that something that came afterwards?
No, actually, he built it. It was built in 2 phases. He built one phase back 1979, 1980,
Okay.
and he built the first part of it. So he built about 3,000 square feet, and then back in 87, 88, he built the further addition onto the back, which is another almost 4,000 square feet. So
Okay.
yeah, so we have a first size building on North Street.
So when you took it over, you decided to get this massive 4-color press
Yes.
installed, right?
Yep.
Which probably, it came from the UK, or?
It did. I bought it from the UK, from Manchester, England, and it was for sale. And I hunted around for some deals, and to buy one here in Canada was too expensive. And this was not a brand new machine; it was
Right.
a refurbished machine. And these, the company that I bought it for, did printing for the Queen. It was the Queen's printer.
Oh,
so
really?
it basically did a lot of printing for the
Okay.
royal family. And anyways, they decided that they were going to sell it, so we had it dismantled, put it in a shipping container, and shipped across the ocean over here to Canada.
I was going to say, a printing press is not a small little device. So
No, this probably was about 50, 60 tons, if I recall.
really, so
Yeah.
shipping would have cost you more than the machine was worth.
Actually, you know what? The shipping was reasonable at the time, which was shocking. It was only $1,600 to ship it over here.
Really?
But the press
Wow.
was 90,000 British pounds, which
Wow.
worked out to, at that time, close to $180,000 Canadian.
Okay, so $1,600 is a small price to pay.
Yeah, it
And
was actually.
They didn't have free shipping with Prime at the time, I
No,
guess.
they did not.
No, that's,
They did not.
so now, did you know how to operate this press, or was this something that you had to get a pressman, or?
Well, it was. We actually flew. I flew my pressman over there to take some training on it.
Okay.
Okay, when I through the second we purchased it, and flew back a month later before it was being dismantled to take money over as well as do a bit of training. Right. So we had a bit of training on it. So it got brought back here, and the guy that disassembled it reinstalled it and actually gave us a bit of a training session on it as well. So it was actually quite good.
And what sort of materials would you print on that press?
We print large manuals. We used to print customary books. Case-bound books. We did a lot of book publishing on there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, books were still very strong in the market.
Right. Now, you folks were not printing the newspapers for the previous owners, right?
No.
Okay. So in the 1990s, the printing industry changed dramatically, right? It became very digitally oriented as compared to analog, I guess the word is. So how does that affect your end of the business?
So it actually sped things up. It was a lot cleaner, less chemicals. We had a press that actually burnt its own plates. It had lasers on it, where the machine would start up, run for 7 to 10 minutes at about 19,000 revolutions per minute, and it would laser the plates on there, and it would start itself up.
Wow.
It would print 20 sheets, and then you'd have to adjust colors, and away you went.
Excellent.
And now, hence, we have digital copiers that pretty well do the same thing, and you don't even have to touch a thing.
I'm going to stop you right there because we do have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to learn more about the story behind this very interesting person.
It's about your brand, and at PP Print, we can help create promotional products and apparel that will put you above your competition. PP Print, more than just print.
At Voss, your independent grocer, it's all about hometown living and shopping. Owned and operated by Port Perry's own Terry and Christine Voss, the independent grocer carries many local items to support our town and its residents.
Welcome back. My guest today is Tony Janssen, the owner of PP Print and Digital Marketing, who has spent a great deal of time in community projects. Tony, welcome back.
Thank you.
So we just started, just before the break, we were talking about this new printing press that you got from the UK and how the world is changing into digital printing. So what does that mean? Did you have to get new presses or?
Yeah, it changed the whole market, or changed the whole machinery equipment for our industry totally. So everything that used to be millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars is now worthless because new technologies come out that's faster, better, cleaner, and more efficient. And cost-wise, it was just phenomenal savings in print.
So basically what we're looking at is a same concept as a photocopier, correct?
Exactly.
So, except it's on a larger scale. So what'd you do with this massive, expensive press?
Well, unfortunately, at the time I was able to sell it to a company out of Montreal that used to ship down to third world countries. So it ended up down in Guatemala.
Oh, interesting.
So I went down there, and it still had a little bit of value because there's a lot of steel there, but it wasn't worth what I paid for it, unfortunately. But,
of course.
Yeah.
That's how business is, right?
Right.
So you bought a digital press.
I did. Yep.
And so does that change the way you're doing business? The products you offer, or
not really? It's the same sort of thing, but it's a waterless ink process, and the machine now used to be about 60 feet long. Now this machine's only about 12 feet long.
Wow.
So a lot less floor space it took up, and a lot more efficient and easier for people to operate. So I was able to find pressmen much easier to take the job on to do it at the time.
Okay, so the people who were working with you before went on to different ways because...
They did. They actually stuck on and just took over the new equipment.
You had a staff of 9 or 10 back then?
I did, yeah.
Which is kind of what you have now still too,
well,
right?
no, we're down to 6 now because
okay.
technology just don't need as much people. And we can produce a lot faster, a lot more efficient, and a lot less experience.
Okay. So I guess the Heidelberg went as well, right?
Yes, it did.
That's sad. That's sad.
Well, still have one Heidelberg, John. I have the Heidelberg letterpress, which does... it prints business cards. It'll do numbering, perfing, die cutting. So it's still interesting that an old machine made back in the 1940s is still in production today.
Really?
Yeah.
But you can do business cards in that on digital presses, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not limited to just paper. It can be any kind of
It can be anything. Yeah, I can print on plastic on them, all sorts of different materials.
And so before we get into the kind of stuff you print, because I did want to kind of get a handle on that, I just wanted to... Printing demands changed as well because of the digital age. People could do short runs and things like that. That's
correct. The numbers have come down quite a bit. People don't print as much as they used to because of the electronic world and the world web. So a lot of things, the numbers are down, sizes are down, and in some cases they don't even need printing on certain things.
Really?
So we expanded into a bit more signage, and we have sign printers in there right now that we're working with.
So I understand you also purchased a newspaper out of Lindsay.
I did. Actually, it was actually Little Britain, Lindsay area, and it was called The Caps. And we kind of kept the name. It was kind of cute. It had two little people with caps on their head. And we morphed it into a newspaper that we were producing 18 to 20,000 monthly. It was a monthly publication. And John,
publication?
you wrote an article.
I wrote some articles for that.
You did.
I remember.
And it grew from 4-pager up to at certain points we were printing 24 pages.
Really?
Yep. It got some of it was mailed by Canada Post. Some were drops. So
which I assume a newspaper does well. You did get out of that business.
We did.
Was that as a sign of the times?
It was a sign of the times and a sign of my times that I was heading towards some retirement down the road too. And I could see that newspaper growth wasn't growing. It was going the reverse way. So it was a nice, usual, casual way to get out. And but it was fun when we did it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember the publication quite well because you branched off into other things too. Plus, I'm sure the internet takes a big chunk out of the newspaper business as well, right? A lot of people read their news on their phones and their tablets and so forth.
Exactly.
And the downside, I guess, of newspapers is that it's only as current as the day you get it in the day it's written, rather. And you get it 2 or 3 days later. You already know what's going on. A lot of that is history. So, so I can see where a monthly one would do well because it's feature, feature oriented, which would be of interest. But I'm sure it's a dying sort of business.
It is. Unfortunately, it was fun while it was there. It was more of a good news newspaper than anything else. We tried not to put the car accident or the house fire or anything like that in it. We tried to put good things that happen within the community of North Durham and the southern city of Kawartha Lakes.
Right, and that's why I wrote for it, because I'm a good news kind of guy.
You are. Yeah.
Good. So in order to stay ahead of your industry, you switched direction, right? You started getting into, as you mentioned, signage, promotional material.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the signage. Like, what sort of signage do you provide?
Well, we do a lot of street signs. We do building signs.
Okay.
We do vinyl for cars, just small vinyl for cars. We don't get into full car wraps. We do Corplast signs, which is, your day-to-day signs that you see put in the ground. It's election time now, so there'll be election signs coming out too off of our machine. So we do a lot of different various signs for people.
Right. And do you print those in-house?
We do. Everything's done locally here, and there is the odd thing we do have to outsource. It might be a little too big for us to handle, but for the most part, we handle.
But you can do like 8x10 or
we can do
4x8.
4x8 sheets. Yeah. We can do 4x8 signs, and we've done quite a few here in the downtown.
Okay.
Yep.
And as far as the promotional business goes, are you talking about trinkets and trash kind of stuff?
Yes, that and T-shirts, jackets, hoodies. Ball caps. I'm just trying to think. We do a whole slew of things. Anything that's in your imagine that we can put your name on it, we can do it.
Okay, interesting. So all the pens that I see that have names on them possibly could come from you.
Yes.
Or things like mugs.
Coffee cups. We can do mugs too as well. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
I think these came from your place, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
So what other kind of stuff do you do?
Okay, one of the big things that we like to do is help our community out. So we do a lot of community publications, and every year we try to do a calendar for the area to.
Let me guess, you brought one with you.
I did. Well, this is last year's, and actually, John, you helped me out with this one last year. And this one was for Port Perry's 150th birthday, and we had cannon shots of Port Perry then and now in there, and compliments to John. He helped us out with that. It was a great publication, and it raised a fair bit of money for the town and at Port Perry Hospital Foundation as well. So most of these things that we do, we have a reason why we do them. Right. The advertising covers the cost of the print, and we donate these to whether it's Port Perry Hospital Foundation or Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Right.
And they can sell them in return to make money off them.
I remember we worked on one a few years ago for the food bank as well.
Yes, we did. That's right.
Yeah. And okay, so aside from the calendars, you also do booklets, like the little Welcome to Port Perry type booklets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we did one here just recently for the Arts Connection.
Okay.
For the Arts Council here in town, you could pick them up anywhere around town, and we also sent them out in the mail. We do the Port Perry Firefighters calendar every year. It's just the famous one for all the young ladies to grab.
They asked me to post for that one, and I had to decline.
Yeah, I know. That was too bad. We were kind of looking forward to that. And
no, you weren't.
And one of the other ones we do, Scugog Chamber of Commerce, we have the business directory for Scugog in here. So I've always been handy that way for the community. So it doesn't cost the chamber anything, other than they just donate their information, and they can hand them out to the businesses.
Do you look after sending them out as well? Do you distribute?
We do. We do some through Canada Post. We do drops here in town to local businesses. Okay. And, we'll drop some off over for Terry at Voss Independent.
Right.
And several other stores around the community.
So you're a full service printing facility.
Exactly.
And digital marketing.
Yep.
So you brought up the booklet for the chamber, which brings me to the fact that you were part of you've been part of the chamber since you bought the business, basically.
Pretty well, yes.
But you also were their president for a number of terms, correct?
Yes, 2 terms. Yeah, 2, a 5-year term and a 4-year term. Okay. And I was vice chair twice for a couple of terms as well in there. So I had quite a bit of experience.
So you've seen a lot of change in Port Perry.
I have. Yeah. It's been good change, been positive change. Yeah.
What about the Economic Development Committee? Because I understand you're part of that as well.
I am. I was on that for the chamber as a chamber representative for a number of years, and they since then rolled me into the manufacturing sector when I retired from the chamber a year ago.
So what exactly is the Economic Development?
Well, the Economic Development is this kind of committee. It's a volunteer committee put together of a number of people in the community here that will sit and give their ideas and thoughts of things that need to happen in the community to expand the growth of the town. Okay. And that will go therefore to council, and somebody will represent us on the committee to bring it to council with some of the ideas that we've come up with that need to be initiated. And then from there, it's either vetoed or it's moved ahead. Okay.
Does this take a fair bit of your time?
Not really. We meet bi-monthly, and we'll meet usually Friday mornings from 9 till about 12, and we'll just discuss things that are happening in town. It's a good indicator. We learn a lot of things of what's going on from other people in other industries like the agricultural industry, which is our biggest industry here in Scugog.
Right.
And we'll learn about the business sector. We hear from the BIA, we hear from the chamber, we hear from the town and any building and developments that are going on, or expansions that are going on. So we get well-rounded about what's happening within the community. And sometimes we'll meet together as a tri-EDAC, and we'll meet with Uxbridge and Brock and Scugog, and we'll share ideas right there too to help our area grow.
So do you have actual input into like these housing developments that are taking place and so forth? Is that
not really? No. We hear about where they're at, but the town will basically run that and tell us, what new developments are coming and what sort of hurdles might be in the way.
Okay. So what else are you involved in?
I also involved in the Emmanuel Community Church.
Okay.
I was involved in the Port Perry 150 last year.
This was the 150th anniversary of birthday of Port Perry.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, last year.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. There was a lot going on. Yeah.
Considering it was a pandemic, it was amazing how people pitched in. And I remember seeing your big sign. You have one of those great big neon type signs that flashes all over the place. I remember seeing that. Quite interesting. So what does the future hold for Tony Janssen? You got 6 grandkids?
Yes. Seven. Sorry.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes, thank you.
That's hard to keep up.
It is,
especially being so young and all as you are.
Yeah.
What does the future have? Are you planning traveling? Well, I'm not going to ask if you're going to retire next week.
I'm not retiring next week. I still like to have my hands in there and dibble and dabble, but I have a place in Florida and I quite enjoy going back and forth. And I have quite a great group of friends down there that I have some good times with, and have a lot to do here still in Port Perry, and good friends here and business associates, as well as my grandkids to keep me busy here. So at some point, I'm hoping I do a few months there and a few months here.
Amazing. And of course, you want to drive your Mustang around.
Oh, I definitely want to drive that around in the summer. The summer's too short.
Tony, listen, our time has come to an end, unfortunately. It's been very interesting. I've learned a lot about the printing industry and about you as a person, which I did not know before.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
It was also interesting to get a glimpse of your career. Thank you all for watching as well. Please join us every month to find out the story behind the person right here on Rogers TV.